unashamed railway fan. Maybe you are too. You've probably stood on your station platform just as I often do, wrapped in blissful admiration of all those things to do with railway working. But you may not have a friend like mine, Inspector Sam, with whom I'm always finding something new to argue about or have explained to me. Just now I'm interested in railway signaling, a feature the average passenger forgets completely. I think it's something of a marvel, the way hundreds of trains are timed to fit into a general schedule, how they travel from place to place, arrive and depart without mishap or delay, all day and every day. This is the busman's holiday for Sam. He's offered to escort me over one of the new all-electric signal boxes which are appearing at most London termini now. By way of a contrast, we went along to the Science Museum at South Kensington recently, where they've lots of interesting models of old signals on view. For instance, there's the flag signal which first was used in 1834. It superseded the flags of the railway policemen who were really the first signalmen. Then there's the ball signal introduced 3 years later. Drawn up, it meant safety. Lowered, it indicated danger. They substituted a lamp for the ball at night. In 1838, this exotic-looking Grand Junction signal made for greater safety on the line. Another early type, the disc and crossbar, seen this way meant safety. And like this, danger. By 1840, railway traffic had greatly increased, and this revolving disc controlling 2 roads was introduced. This aspect meant both lines blocked. And this, right road blocked. Now the left road is blocked, and this way meant all clear. This was an old London and South Western signal. Another type which appeared in 1846, the double disc signal. If a driver saw it in this position, it meant danger. And this way, all clear. A railway pioneer, Sir C.H. Gregory, erected this, the first semaphore signal at New Cross. The 2 arms controlled 2 roads. And now, 100 years later, the semaphore type of signal is still in general use. The upper quadrant semaphore is a more recent modification. It's gradually supplanting the lower quadrant type. As early as 1843, Gregory, realizing the danger of careless signaling, introduced this, the first safety interlocking signal frame. His idea was later elaborated by Stevens into this tappet interlocking frame, which controlled signals and points from the same place. The safety interlocking devised by Stevens is the basic principle of all signal and point movements today, and in conjunction with the block system of signaling, has proved itself an excellent safety measure. In both block telegraph and track circuiting systems, a certain space interval is preserved between trains. No 2 trains can be in the same section at the same time. First, I'll try and explain the block telegraph method. All signal boxes are linked electrically in such a way that 2 boxes must operate together before a train can pass between them. Let's say that signal signalman A has a passenger train to pass on to the next box at B. He can't do this before his own signals have been released by the signalman at B. So he calls B's attention by one ring on the bell. B replies, one ring. A now rings 3 pause 1 to B, meaning, is your section clear? If so, please release my signal. B hears A's code ring and checks that his block instrument needle shows normal. It can only do so when the previous train has cleared his section. He then rings 3-1 in answer to A. Then he presses the release button and turns his instrument needle to line clear. This indication repeats on A's instrument, releasing his signals. A can now pull off his signals, enabling the train to proceed into the clear section. And when he sees it passing his box, he sends the train entering section code ring 2 beats on the bell to B. B replies and sets his instrument to train online. This repeats in A's cabin. While the instrument is in this position, A replaces his signals to danger. Otherwise, he couldn't accept another train. Thus, the rear of every train is always completely protected. B, having set his instrument to train online and received the train entering section signal from A, offers the train onto C in the same way as A did to him, first checking that his instrument to C cabin is in the normal position, meaning that the next section of line is clear. The section being clear, C, after ringing back 3-1, now sets his instrument to line clear, so releasing B's signals. B can now pull his signals off, thus permitting the train to pass through his section towards C. When B sees the train passing his box, he gives 2 rings to C, meaning that the train is entering C's section. B's instrument needle now goes from line clear to train on line, showing that the train has been received in C's section. Meanwhile, as the train was passing B's box, B ascertained that it was complete by observing the red tail lamp. He now replaces his signals to danger, then rings to A, train out of section, and sets his block instrument needle to normal, so completing the cycle. The train is thus passed from box to box, with always at least one set of signals protecting its rear. Track circuiting, one of the most important inventions in 100 years of railways, makes automatic color light signaling possible. Trains have become their own signalmen. In this system, certain rail ends are separated by insulators, dividing the track into separate electrical circuits, each connected to a relay. The train wheels and axles cause the track circuit relays to operate as they pass over, setting the signals at danger behind each train without human aid. The trains pass into the next section, changing the signal there to danger and the previous section signal, first to caution, then to clear, as they proceed from the second into the third section. Although I'm progressing in my knowledge of railway operation, I still find Sam invaluable in explaining away any difficulties. There isn't an answer he doesn't seem to know. Well, that's the end of the first stage of our trip. By the time I return home, I hope to know how our train navigated that tangle of lines and points and arrived at the right platform. Sam says hereabouts he usually finds a Spotters Club member watching the cream of the Southern Region locos on parade. So that's where we're going. Okay, you lead the way, Sam. And here we are. It's bewildering, isn't it? You'd better introduce me to the foreman in charge. I may want to ask him lots of things later. In fact, I know I shall. The Surrey must really be proud of this box. I've read that it contains every device to control the movement of more than 1,100 trains a day. A bit different from that tepid interlocking frame we saw in the museum, isn't it? So the signalmen operate all these levers which work electrically and do just the same job as the heavy manual levers in any local signal cabin, but so much more efficiently. The red-painted ones work the signals and the black ones the points. The little color lights behind the signal levers repeat the same indication as the actual signal lights outside on the line which they control. And these are some of the works which operate whenever a lever is moved. The signalman can hustle when it's necessary, can't they? And the boy, he records all the trains passing, I suppose. Now listen, Sam, and stop me if I'm wrong. When a lever is pulled, the small light behind it changes and repeats the color indication of the appropriate signal light outside, like this. An illuminated N or R behind point levers means normal or reverse position of the actual point. And that's the diagram of the station layout on which the signalman can see the exact position of all the trains in this section. There are 21 platforms and all traffic to and from them has to pass over these 8 tracks. Also on the chart are shown the sections into which the track is divided. Here they are. When the train is in a section, it short-circuits what you call the control track relay, Sam. The signals are at danger and the points immovable. When the train leaves the section, the signals show the proceed indication light when the controlling lever is pulled. That right? Two red lights together on the diagram mean that a section is occupied. On track 4, near the bottom of this diagram, the red lights appear and disappear, marking the passage of a train through the various sections. And when the platform staff do this, the ready to start is being given. It appears on the signalman's chart as a white light. So this is a train describer, Sam. It tells the signalman what train he's to expect next. The sending instrument, this one, has 2 columns of description tabs and corresponding buttons. The receiving instrument has 2 columns of description tabs and 3 columns of indication lights showing the order first, second and third in which the trains are coming. If signalman A is passing 2 trains to signalman B, he presses the appropriate buttons which cause the describer to operate and store in its electrical memory the details he's transmitting. When signalman B presses a button, the train positions are shown in proper sequence on his instrument. When he presses the button again, the first indication is cleared, and the second and any subsequent train positions appear in proper order. So you're going to let me play signalman, Sam? You want me to bring in that empty train from the siding out there to the platform? Looks complicated on the chart, doesn't it? I'm to signal that train over all these points, along here, and into the platform. Okay, I'll have a go. Now, these levers are all numbered corresponding to the respective signals and points. That right? And here are the levers I'm to operate. Yes, you'd better show me how, Sam. I don't want to wreck the station. It won't move. Ah, that's the safety interlocking, I suppose. All right, Sam, you restore the conflicting lever. Show me. Okay, now I'll have another go. That's better, number 1. That's the point set. Now numbers 2 and 3. And there's the signal. Simple, isn't it? I did that all right, did I, Sam? Good. Do you think they'd sign me on here? Now, let's see what I did when I signaled that empty train from the siding there to the station. I enabled it to start up, traverse all those points in the yard out there, thread its way towards the station, and take up its position at the right platform. And when the time comes for it to leave, the foreman gives the ready to start light to the signalman. The signalman gives the proceed indication to the driver. There it is, main line this time. And away goes the train, its passengers quite ignorant of all the backstage work involved, but vaguely confident of a safe arrival at their destination. I haven't the right sort of brain to understand what happened when I pulled those levers, Sam, but I suppose all these works did their little bit to operate the right points and signal lights. This array of batteries, switches, fuses, relays, and meters must be a joy to someone, even though they're a bit of a nightmare to me. No doubt, every one is necessary to maintain the safety with speed and efficiency for which this region is noted. Like the signalmen in the cabin above, they're always on duty. We've gone a long way since the days of the man with the flag running before our puffing billies, and even now, I suppose there are men somewhere grappling with new transport difficulties, research work, and experiments. Anyway, when I return home, Sam, I shall think on these things, and I've already decided that so far as my opinion goes, they're all a signal success.